Welcome back to the deep dive. You send us the source material, and our mission is, as always, to give you that shortcut to distill all of that essential knowledge.
And today, we're jumping back into a book we've had so much feedback on, Julie Trell's The Real World Rehab.
Yes, specifically Chapter 2, which is titled The Gift of Pause, the closest thing to a lifetime out you'll ever get.
And that title, it just immediately gets to the heart of this chapter's big, counterintuitive idea.
It really does. It's a paradox right from the get-go. I mean, a
Yeah.
gift. When we think of a gift, we think of freedom of leisure, not, rigid rules and schedules.
Right, you don't think of someone else telling you what time lunch is. But what Trell argues, and what we're going to unpack, is how that very inconvenience is, well, it's a form of compassion in disguise.
And she acknowledges that initial resistance perfectly.
Yeah.
She starts with that reality check. Because entering rehab or any kind of forced rest, it feels like a penalty.
Oh, absolutely.
She lists the grievances, the rules, the schedule, the total loss of control. None of it, and this is her quote, screams tropical retreat.
No, it's the shock of losing your autonomy. You've gone from, maybe chaotically running your own life to suddenly having no say at all. It feels like a double punishment.
That's a great way to put it. You're not just stopping the chaos, you're having a new, very bureaucratic system imposed on you.
But that feeling, as the book points out, is almost always temporary. There's this turning point she describes.
The moment where it just clicks.
Exactly. The moment where, as she says, if you are lucky, it hits you. This isn't hell. This is the pause you absolutely refuse to give yourself.
And that's when she brings in that incredibly urgent metaphor. That rehab is the moment life finally slammed the brakes before you drove yourself off the cliff.
That image is so powerful because it reframes the whole thing. It's not a suggestion to slow down. When you are heading for a cliff, you don't need a suggestion.
You need something to physically stop the car.
You need the brakes slammed. And that's what the rules in the schedule are. They are the friction that stops the forward momentum toward catastrophe.
Okay, let's unpack this. If the structure is that necessary inconvenience, that slamming of the brakes, what is the actual gift inside? What did this pause deliver?
It delivers something the author calls radical permission. And it's a command that is it's totally absent from our adult lives, especially in hustle culture.
What's the command?
The book quotes it directly. You do not have to work right now. You do not have to hustle. You do not have to fix anyone's mess or outrun your own.
Wow.
And it ends with, all you have to do is stay alive and start again.
Just that. That's the only job. Which is so different from the permission we usually get, which is always conditional, right? Like, you can rest after you finish this project.
Or once everything is fixed. But here, the permission is unconditional. And that, Trowell argues, redefines the entire experience. It's not a prison, it's a timeout from chaos.
A second chance disguised as structure. I love that phrasing. The word disguised is so perfect because nobody would choose this willingly.
No, but you might choose a second chance. It's the opportunity to take the first real breath you've probably taken in years.
And it creates this kind of anti-hustle environment where the entire value system is flipped on its head.
It is. She has this wonderful sort of humorous line about how it's the only place on earth where people will cheer like you won the Super Bowl just because you remembered it is your laundry day.
It sounds funny, but that's actually profound.
Oh.
It shows that recovery starts from absolute zero. Just doing your laundry is a Super Bowl win when you've been breaking down.
And that validation comes from the staff, whose only job, as she puts it, is to help you not set yourself on fire every week. They're not judging. They're just stabilizers.
The message is just so gentle. Here, sit down. Catch your breath.
Let's figure out how to live without breaking yourself in the process.
It's like getting the instruction manual for a sustainable life. But you can only read it once you've been forced to stop everything else.
Exactly. The structure provides the quiet you need to actually hear the instructions.
So let's shift to the physical environment for a second because the author's descriptions are so vivid and not flattering.
Not at all.
She talks about walls that are beige enough to make oatmeal look glamorous.
And furniture that looks like it was rescued from a church basement.
Right. It's intentionally drab, stripped down, ugly even.
And that ugliness has a purpose. Psychologically, if there's nothing stimulating to look at, no beautiful view, no digital distractions, you're forced to turn inward.
That makes so much sense. If you were in a 5-star spa, you just focus on the external comfort. You could mistake that for healing.
Here you can. You're just stuck with yourself. And as she so memorably puts it, your roommate's shoes that smell like they have been through something traumatic.
I mean, that detail just says it all. But beneath that surface-level dreariness, this internal shift is happening.
The noise fades, the chaos starts to dull down, and you have this realization that you don't have to keep running anymore.
But stopping is so hard. The book really identifies this emotional trap where rest feels suspicious.
Yes.
That peace feels like a trick. Why is that?
It's the signature of being in survival mode for too long.
Yeah.
Your body has been running on adrenaline and hypervigilance for so long that the absence of a crisis feels dangerous.
It feels like you're vulnerable.
Exactly. You're thinking, if I stop running, whatever was chasing me is finally going to catch me. So to truly rest feels terrifying.
I think anyone who's been through burnout or even just forced sick leave knows that feeling. The first few days of not working are almost more stressful than the work itself.
They are, but the book explains that if you can just sit in that discomfort, that's when the healing starts to creep in, quietly, gently.
And in that quiet, you can finally hear your own thoughts again.
But not the panicked, shame-filled ones, the real ones, the ones that have been drowned out.
And that leads to the biggest transformation of all, which is a shift in identity. You stop seeing yourself as the person who broke everything.
And you start seeing the person who is strong enough to rebuild.
It's a redefinition of what strength even is.
It is. Trowell offers this incredible, counterintuitive definition of stillness. She says, stillness does not mean weakness. Stillness means you finally stopped running long enough for your soul to catch up.
That completely flips the script. The constant running wasn't strength. It was actually avoiding the real work.
It was a flight from yourself, and this idea of the soul catching up leads to what I think is the most powerful metaphor in the entire chapter.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, she's talking about the hallway.
Yes, the
Yeah.
hallway. She says rehab, or this forced pause, isn't a destination. It is a transitional space. It's a hallway.
Why a hallway? Not a bridge or a doorway?
Well, think about it. A bridge suggests you can see the other side, that the path is clear. A doorway is an instant transition. But a hallway is an in-between space. It can be long, a little cramped, maybe not very glamorous.
You've definitely left the old room, but you haven't arrived in the new one yet.
You're in the middle. And she calls it the sacred, uncomfortable middle place. It's where, quote, nothing is fully repaired yet, but nothing is fully erect anymore.
That just validates the messiness of the process. It's okay to be in that awkward, unresolved state.
It's not just okay, it's necessary. That's where the work gets done. And that really sums up the entire gift. The gift isn't another chance at life, which can sound huge and overwhelming.
No, it's something small, more foundational.
It's the chance to pause long enough to believe one is possible. The structure gives you the space, but the pause gives you the belief.
So what does this all mean? The big takeaway here, for you, the learner, is how this chapter completely reframes structure. What we often see as rigid or unpleasant can actually be a life-saving boundary system.
It's the container that holds you together when you can't hold yourself together anymore.
And the reason this perspective from the book is so important is because our world, it doesn't give you a pause button.
Not voluntarily. The
Right.
culture, the market, everything demands more, faster now. This book validates the absolute necessity of a forced reset when you just can't hit stop on your own.
It's the difference between seeing it as a penalty and seeing it as like a critical surgical intervention. It's not fun, but it's what you need to heal.
Precisely.
So we want to leave you with a final thought on this, something to really chew on, and it comes right from the core of this chapter.
We want you to think about your own life.
What part of your life right now is operating purely in survival mode? And if the idea of real deep peace feels even a little suspicious to you, what is it going to take to convince your soul that it's finally safe to stop running?
Think about that hallway, that uncomfortable but sacred middle place, and ask yourself if you have the courage to treat your own necessary pause, however it might arrive, as a gift.
Thank you for diving deep with us. We'll catch you next time.